News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis. Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Welcome to Tool Talk Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning.
I'm Allan Gilbreth with darkoakmedia.com.
And I'm Maximilian, telling you all to get your bullwhips and your fedoras ready because I want to wish you all a very happy International Archaeology Day.
Okay. All right. Well, I can get behind that. That's fine. That's interesting. Is there a founder for this, or is this, how far back do you think this one goes?
Well, it's
probably way back.
Yeah.
It was hosted by the Archaeological Institute of America and the National Park Service.
Okay. All right. That sounds good to me. I'll take that. And archaeology, am I wrong, Allan? There's a lot of things that maybe we wouldn't even think are archaeological finds. We're talking, we can go underwater, right? That's archaeology. We can underground, just pulling it. Is studying the pyramids archaeology? I mean,
oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
Well,
a lot of stuff on the table for that. So.
Well, all right, archaeology winds up in our business quite a bit.
Oh, yeah.
Because
especially your friends that live in England.
Especially a lot of our fans in England or Australia or New Zealand or the new bunch we got hanging out in Romania. I'm liking that one.
Yeah.
Romania in time for October. No, that didn't get me excited at all. But yeah, any archaeological looks become big. Honestly, you know, we like to talk about 30 years of stupid, but you have no idea what happened 300 years ago.
Right.
And exactly. It might be in your backyard.
There we go. Yeah.
That's what I was going to say is it seems like archaeology is just, well, because I had an anthropology teacher essentially just say that these sorts of things we're just reviewing the ancient garbage.
Yep, we're playing in the trash.
Nobody throws the good stuff out. So,
yeah. Well, we're just playing in the trash. That's what got left. Yeah.
Okay. Well, there might be some good stuff. Like I said, I mean, in my own yard in East Memphis, I found a bottle that looked like it's from the Civil War. Digging up some stuff in my yard.
Your house is a Memphis archaeological treasure. We'll just leave it at that.
It's intergalactic. So
You actually live in a historically semi-significant location.
There you go. Well, hey, so Allan, all's right with the universe again. We're back here live. We've had a few, missed shows lately, but football and different events intervene. So, but I feel like we're a little behind schedule when it comes to celebrating the season. I know this is your favorite season, so we're doubling up today. We're gonna in our Great Moments in Building History, we're actually revisiting a structure we've discussed in the past. It's local. But it's supposedly haunted, which is the Orpheum Theater, which is one of my favorite places in Memphis. I'm sure all of us feel that way. But also, I guess, what are these Halloween hacks that you might have, or just?
Oh man!
I mean, you love talking about Halloween decorations.
Oh yeah. Well, there's a safety level, and then this year there are some spectacularly done, cute ideas.
And with the increase in technology, especially with lighting and things, I have to say it gives the creative Halloween decorator a lot of options they didn't have before.
Oh, yeah.
So hopefully people are playing that up. And if you are out there and you've got some really good Halloween decorations rocking at your house, I'd love to see some pictures.
Oh, yeah, we need some pics. We need the pictures.
Okay, this is cool. Now, Allan, I want to say you and I and our buddy Brandon predicted this maybe 8 years ago on Geek Tank Radio. Today we're going to talk in science about optical thermodynamic light transfer. Because that's all we do. We sit around and we talk about optical thermodynamic light transfer all the time.
You may not, but I do.
But it might be a new way to basically move light around. It doesn't even involve wires or things like that. So it could be the future of homeowners. Well, it could be a future feature in our homes. Max, you had something called a sand battery that I'm sure Allan's familiar with that you researched.
Well, yeah, it's a recent thing that came out middle of 2025, all the way with our buddies in Finland, world's largest sand battery. The idea of powering the grid with sand.
Okay, well, I think that sounds really interesting because we gotta find new technologies, and we may as well sand that's as free and cheap. Well, it's not free, but it's as cheap as you can get and abundant. So, and in Allan's week in review, it sounds like another victorious week, right?
Oh, it was a spectacularly, wonderfully It's a week of overcoming great obstacles. We'll leave it like that.
Okay, and then we had a tool tale that I think Max wanted to ask about, and we'll get to that when we get to that. So it's a full roster, folks, and once again, we would love to hear from you. Call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline, 901-683-0989. But before we get to any of those things, let's get to our must-have item of the week, which has been posted. It's on our Facebook page. If you go to @Tool Talk Radio over on Facebook, you'll see these. But, Allan, there's a formal name for these, but I don't know. What do you call these things that I'm holding up?
We have always called those quick snips.
Quick snips, okay.
It's a cute little, it's a tiny, cute little, it almost looks like a torture device.
It probably, it could be used for one.
It is just a pair of wire snips, but it has the bent blades.
So the technical name for these are micro flush cut snips. And like Allan said, these things, okay, for one thing, there's a little spring mechanism so that when you squeeze it, it opens it up again, which I always appreciate. And it's just a simple little bent piece of metal that causes that. These are I spent the extra $3 to get the good ones. These are a little bit more, but I would say these are 5 inches long. They're very portable. You could put them in your pocket, although they'd rip your pocket open.
Oh yeah, no, you don't want to put that in your pocket.
Put it in your tool belt instead. But Allan, I got to admit, I probably use these for wires. I mean, that's like almost the last thing I even use these for.
Yeah.
What do you use? But folks, if you can imagine, these are almost like, imagine a set of, these are sharp too. I mean, you could cut through bone with this if it was wide enough, but it's, they're sharp and there's almost like a tweezer like point to them, and they're exceedingly handy.
Well, as a matter of fact, yesterday morning, I did use a pair of those to trim out a corner on a tiny piece of plastic molding that I needed to fit exactly. And it was a very small little corner, but if I could nip out that tiny little corner, this was going to drop in perfect.
Not to sound like a Decepticon. But is this another instance, because I feel like we've discussed this before, of the idea of form doesn't necessarily dictate function?
Not in my life. Whatever. I mean, this is technically, Max, this is a tool for electricians, but I use it for carpentry. I've used this. I've Max, because one of the things with carpentry, I'm constantly getting splinters under my fingernails, or I'm ripping and if you got to snip off that little hangnail, boy, these work great, man.
Oh yeah.
So
that's what I was going to say, because I have like a little pair of Swiss Army knife, and it has like these tiny scissors, and those are great for hangnails or dead skin.
And we are not advocating any medical use for a construction tool.
Well, yeah, exactly. But
we all know you're going to do it, but we're not going to advocate it.
And if you got a gentle touch, these also work. They can function as splinters, but really, I mean, and they cut wire great. I mean, and they're because they're so small too. The cutting edge is not even 3/4 of an inch wide, but it has got some power behind it. And it's interesting. I'm sure there is some physics as to why this particular shape is so
it's
effective.
The fulcrum.
But
it's the operation of a pair of scissors. You're using force against itself.
Yeah. It cuts great, man. I've cut wood with this. I've cut. I'm not going to attempt, metal or anything, but I think your thing of getting into those tight corners and and then of course when you actually want to cut wire, that they can handle that too.
Well, to be honest, this was a piece of molding hiding a security drawer.
Okay.
So the drawer itself was supposed to be slightly hidden, and because we're adding it to it, we're trying to match it in perfectly. So this had to be a very precise, exact notch out to make it fit basically invisibly. And that tool right there was about the only thing that could get that job done.
I was thinking about it too, not to beat this into the ground, but there's some nice, comfortable rubber grip handles.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm sitting here looking at this, Allan. In a pinch, if you were to remove these things, this thing would have like almost no profile to it. Look how thin that is. You could squeeze this into some real tight areas. I have to believe people that work. I'd have to believe mechanics for. Car mechanics would want something like this when you got to squeeze your hand through an engine and grab that one thing or snip it off. So, all right. So the micro flush cut snips are are the must-have item of the week. They're kind of in that category for me of tools that have a function, but you use them for something else, like the giant screwdriver.
Oh,
Do you ever use it as a
That's what
screwdriver?
I was thinking of.
Yeah. I use it as either, a self-defense thing or just like a giant chisel or
all right. In
pry bar.
in actual honesty, I have a matched pair of them,
What are their names?
like Bruce Lee, you mean?
and their
or-
name
yeah.
are frickin' Frack.
Yeah.
And honestly, it is hilarious because you're on a job site and somebody goes, "Hey, somebody slide me Frick," and they got used mostly this week for separating molding. Because you could slide it on and lift it, and it would just angle down, and you move down about a foot, slide the other one in, it lifts, take this one out, move down. So you just hopscotched your way all the way down the wall without destroying anything.
There we go. Okay, so lots of yeah. Don't confine your tools just to their original function. There's lots of uses for them. So all right, well,
Decepticons were right.
exactly. All right, well, we're going to take a quick break, and we're gonna do something unexpected. We are going to talk science. Allan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com and our pal Max over there behind the glass. And off the air, we're gonna get to our science discussion, but we're actually gonna put a pin in it because we had a tool tale that Max wanted to bring to us, and I think this one might be of interest to the listeners. So we're gonna start with that. So
And now, Tool Tales with Tool Talk Radio.
So what is this, Max? Because I feel like you're going to trigger Allan here.
And here's a little bit of a peek behind the curtain. In our exhaustive show prep, right before the mics were about to come on, I actually came up with this idea like on the fly before like we were on the air.
Okay.
It was a question about sentimentality or lack thereof.
Yeah, I wonder where Allan lands with that. so.
Because we were talking about I was asking the idea of, well, are there certain tools that you all keep that don't necessarily, well, let's go back to function, that no longer function, but you still keep them because of sentimentality? Or even if they don't really work well, you still keep them?
Oh, well, all right. Let's let Allan answer that question. Well, actually, Max, we should ask you that question. You're the least, but,
My answer is no.
Yeah. What would you do with a tool that broke, even if it just, you just repaired your entire car engine with it and then it snapped in half?
I would maybe, properly wrap it in and then dispose of it.
You'd bury it with dignity or
give
what?
them like 2 pennies to tip the boat limit.
All right. Okay. All right. Go ahead, Allan, because I'm curious how you dispose of a
Let's just
tool.
say immediately.
Really?
Right
in
there.
every case. What if
Unless I need to unless it's big enough I need to actually haul it off job site. But no, zero. None.
What about your
None
trusted
whatsoever.
What about your trusted wrecking bar? Like what if something just finally happened and the metal gave out and it snapped in half? I mean, you've used this thing's gotten you through some demolition.
I see that being buried with me. I don't think that thing's going anywhere. If it snapped, all right. All right, this is going to be the running joke. If you see me lying on the ground, run. You don't want to meet what did that. All right.
Okay, yeah, that's probably because you do know
own-
your martial arts and you got tools.
I
And weapons.
do own certain tools that,
Yeah.
man, if you broke that,
Yeah.
yeah, man, all I got to say is fair play.
That's
Okay.
like the episode of Parks and Rec where Ron Swanson, his will is just the man who kills me.
We'll know what to do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, it's just, wow.
Okay.
That makes me think of a King Arthur being buried with Excalibur. You're gonna like be buried with your crowbar.
Yeah, it's well, I mean, that crowbar has moved houses, literally. All right, well, all right, now I will even give you my contradiction to that comment.
I'm waiting. Yeah, that's what I was waiting. Because
I
I
say
think
you are with
sometimes you're
bated
a
breath.
hypocrite.
Joe's over here
Right.
going, he's gonna get himself. All right.
There we go.
Absolutely.
Point, counterpoint here.
The transition to that is, okay, you go into the big box store right now and you buy a shovel.
Okay.
That shovel is not repairable.
Um.
It doesn't have a bolt through it. It is folded metal up against. And you know what? When that handle breaks, there's nothing to take apart. There's nothing to repair. So chuck the whole thing in the trash and go on about your business. My contradiction is working on a job site. We literally dug up tools from 1880,
There we go.
1890,
Yep.
1900, dug up the head of a pickaxe.
When you say dug up, you're literally talking
I
about, we're
mean,
talking
2
archaeology
feet
here.
under the ground. We are talking total archaeology here.
There we go on
Came up
International
with
Archaeology Day.
a standard spade head that still had a little piece of wood stuck in it. Came up with a true old-fashioned hoe that had been broken, and somebody had just left it, and it sunk into the ground at some point. The other one, let's see, was that, and the pickaxe. And this pickaxe had obviously been used a lot.
Right.
Well, these are 3 brand new tools in my garage.
Mm-hmm.
The caveat is they're repairable. They were fixable.
You would have kept them I mean,
No.
come on. You dig up a antique tool underground.
Either I know somebody that wants it or I got enough junk.
Didn't you pull out a saw that actually still works, even though it was rusty?
Oh, it was
You
hanging in
cleaned
a
it?
barn. It's beautiful. It's still hanging on my wall. I used it.
I mean,
I will use it this afternoon. As a
hand
matter of
saw.
fact,
That's saying something.
it was
man.
a Sears and Roebuck hand saw from 1920.
Right.
Yeah, and it still works. Is beautiful now, but it was hanging in a barn, forgotten for almost 100 years. So it wasn't
Okay.
exposed to the weather. I mean, it needed almost no cleaning. So I am a huge fan of antique tools. However, I have no sentimentality to a battery-powered tool or a plug-in tool because fundamentally they're just not repairable. And I know that there's somebody out there that will argue with me on that, but fundamentally the time and effort it would take to repair it to its mediocre function versus the $49.99 at the big box store to replace it with a brand new tool up to modern standards. It's just there's a gap in there that I'm not willing to traverse. So I mean, I had a XYZ brand toolkit that I've had for 25 years.
Yeah.
The company has long since moved on from this technology, this color floor plan, yet these tools have worked literally up until this year. They were on job sites with me. The circle saw gave it up first because it got used the most.
Yeah.
And the one that is going to get unceremoniously dumped this afternoon is going to be the jigsaw. And it's just not accurate enough anymore. It's not powerful enough anymore because a $50 jigsaw is going to outperform it 10-1.
Now, here's a question, because there's the idea of precision tools versus just blunt force tools. Even if these tools don't necessarily work for precision anymore, could you still use them for destructive purposes?
Ah, okay.
Because of the fact that they are damaged. Because it's like the idea of how you said the what was it? The most dangerous knife in your drawer is like the bent one, or and so
dull blades are more dangerous. So.
Yeah, so if you have something like that that could actually yield maximum results for destruction, would you still keep it?
Okay, there are 2 instances to that. One of them is referred to, and everybody that's worked with me, as the ugly. And this is actually a cheap tablecloth that I was given 31 years ago. I know exactly
You
when I
remember
got
when
it.
you got it. Okay.
Because when you unwrap the box and you look at it, you went, wow, that's ugly. However, it is proven to be virtually indestructible. And because it was aesthetically unpleasing, it has gone everywhere and done everything. It has been what you threw on the floor when you did this. It has been used as a blanket. It's been used as what to wrap the dog in when it didn't feel good. It's been used for everything.
Except the tablecloth.
Except for the one thing it was designed to be. So with that said, its actual purpose never being fulfilled, it has fulfilled 1,000 other purposes. So, yes, having something that is non sequitur is often very ingratiating. You don't like this bucket. You never liked this bucket. It's, so you use it for every terrible job. And yet, 20 years later, you still have this terrible looking bucket with the dent in it that you got on sale for $2.50 that you're still beaten to death, and it's still holding in there.
See, okay, go ahead, Max. Because
it's a sort of interesting loyalty, so to say. It's like that's sort of the underdog that we're sort of rooting for. It's the Rudy of buckets.
It is.
It sounds a lot like my experience with Old Blue dropping a drill 20 feet off a ladder, having it almost get run over, whatever, and it's still kicking. It goes from, it's almost like this Frankenstein creature where it's like, okay, I hated this thing. It's scary. I don't want to get near it, to this is the one I count on for, so I don't know. So that, I think there's a certain I think time is a factor in our feelings of sentimentality. I've got a quick little contribution for this tool tale, then we'll move on to science. But I knew we'd get Allan, contradicting himself within one segment. So, all right. So everybody stay tuned. You're listening to Tool Talk Radio. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Oh, look, John, it's red pine. They were going to put flecked linoleum over this beautifully preserved knotty red pine. Most people in this world, John, are
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
Okay. And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com and our pal Max over there behind the glass. And if you're just tuning in, Max posed a question dealing with our sentimentality or lack thereof towards the tools that I would say the tools that become obsolete, or the tools that maybe they're not firing on all cylinders or working as well as they can. Do you scrap those tools, or do you keep them out of sentimentality? So we figured we learned where Allan was coming from with that. But I'm going to share my feelings on that in just a minute. But before we do that, let's talk about our good friends over at Groundworks. Here we go, Allan. We're getting into that transitional time of year. I hope. I'm kind of ready for some fall weather myself, man.
That'd be nice.
But it's always a good time to get out and pay attention to what's going on around your home, because Groundworks is they're all about the safety and the keeping a healthy foundation for your home. Whether you have a basement or a crawl space or a slab or some sort of combination of all of those, a foundation having a healthy foundation is a must. It's really not an option. And sometimes foundation problems manifest themselves in unusual ways. You may have bouncing or sagging floors. You may have this weird squeak. You have these odd musty smells, or sticking doors or windows, or that stair-step crack on the brickwork. Any of those can indicate a problem with your foundation. And really, foundation issues are not DIY projects. You need trusted experts. And what's great about Groundworks, for one thing, the inspection is free. You invite them out to your home, and they bring their detecting equipment. They're going to do a comprehensive inspection of your foundation. And basically, it's kind of like a doctor visit. They're going to share what they found. Hopefully, you get a clean bill of health. But if there are any issues with your foundation, they have the means to help you with any of them, from the smallest problems all the way up to a full rebuild of your foundation. So we love the folks over at Groundworks. We encourage you to get in touch with them. There's a lot of ways to do that. You can call them at 901-459-2290 or go to groundworks.com and book your free inspection today. So you guys, we were talking about sentimentality and tools and everything. And so, Allan, you sort of waffled a little bit, because you basically said when a tool's done, you throw it out. No.
Any modern tool, pretty much, it's going to get dust binned.
So the reason I was thinking about this is because I think there's a magic time frame. Like, okay, if you had a tool that served you for over 20 years or something,
okay,
to me, that's different than something you bought 3 years ago and it broke and you snapped in half or something. You don't care. So the
went
time
straight in the
span,
bin.
Because I was thinking about it. I've talked in the past about Old Blue, which has been retired. He's in my garage, waiting his whatever you call that, internment or something. But
you can do a celebration of life for him, and
well, we did that after
get him a
after
little
he blew up.
box, and yeah.
For those that don't know, Old Blue was a trusted. It was a corded drill. This one you plugged in. I'd had it for over 20 years. This thing had been dropped off ladders. It had been run over.
I could just see the wake. It's like, and you're at the eulogy saying he was more than a tool. He was a friend.
Yeah. But he finally bought the farm when he literally started on fire while I was trying to I was trying to drill in these 14-inch lag screws into these rafters I was putting in. But anyway, but here's the thing, Alan. Okay, I have some tools that I inherited from. We had a very close friend of our family's, good guy named Ted Halltorf. This guy he worked on cars. He was a tool guy, and when he passed away, I inherited some of his old tools. Now, Alan, these are like the hand cranked drill,
right?
Or a planer, it's mostly made of wood and it's just got a metal thing. Now, honestly, I don't know how useful those are in terms of that, but I put those up. Those are I want those tools.
They would be utterly restored and revered in my collection.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Well, there's something to that. Well, what if my grandkids or great grandkids or some came across Old Blue and they heard the story and the legend, and they're like, I'm going to restore Old Blue and fix it.
But Old Blue's technology is so past, they're not going to restore it.
Well, is it? What if
it is?
It is. Okay, now I count. Here's the thing.
The cord is dead. Give it up.
Well, Jay Leno, we know Jay Leno is big into he's got
into
this huge
steampunk.
Well, but here's the thing about Jay Leno. When he has a 1934 Duesenberg or whatever the heck these things are, and he doesn't have a part for it, they have 3D printers that he can type in, I have a this, I need a camshaft for a whatever, and this thing will print it out.
This is a $19 drill.
You anticipate
now you want to give me a $300,000 Duesenberg?
You anticipate your grandchildren being like gajillionaires?
I guess. I don't know. I'm just saying. I don't think there's any cut and dry thing here. I think it's always the story behind the tool.
All right, but the other thing is the tools that you are revering are hand tools.
Well, I mean, if I had a cool drill press or something, I don't know. I'm just saying.
I'm just saying, if it's a powered moving part modern tool built in the last 50 years, the chances of its survival around me are nil and none.
Okay. Well, folks, this is one where we definitely want to know what the listeners think. Especially if you've got pictures of maybe, what the world would consider an obsolete tool, but you keep it.
Yeah, prove me wrong, man. Send us some pics. We want to see them.
Send them in. So, all right, but that's our feelings. I think that was a pretty good tool tale, Max. So, but now it's time to get down to business here.
Hail science!
And Alan, I hope you can explain this to me as though I'm a 5-year-old or something. But there's something that popped up, and I sent you the article right away. And within about 3 seconds, I said, this sounds an awful lot like the stuff because, we talk science and stuff, and we talk, we think outside the box. But this is a technology called optical thermodynamic light transfer.
Yep.
And because we right now, when we want to have light in our house, we either have wired lights or maybe we have rechargeable batteried lights or something. But there's all sorts of technology that's possible here, man.
There is. I'll give you one word for all of it.
Talk to me.
Joe, everything you're thinking about with this technology, it's all a mirage.
Now this is interesting. I didn't think you were going to go down that road. Okay.
Well, you said thermodynamics and light. Let's start where this technology begins. Hello, nature.
Because you're driving down the freeway in the
Bingo.
desert and you see that. What is that actually? Is it heat warping?
It's exactly what you see. You have a layer of superheated air coming off the asphalt. And because of the density change between the air slightly above it and the air trapped against the asphalt, you are seeing a reflection of the sky.
Okay. Oh, a reflection of the sky.
Our sky is blue. Guess what the mirage looks like? Looks like a puddle of water.
Right. Okay. That's why it's.
Now,
Okay.
let me give you some other mirages. Oh, ye Thor Darson of the legend of swimming and moving islands among your people. Because a thermal inversion or thermal dynamics happens either in the hot or in the cold.
Hold on.
His arm flung into the air.
You know what I'm going to say. Because, okay, and I promise I'm not trying to interrupt you, but you brought this up. So, folks, if you want to find a really interesting, I think you can probably find it on YouTube, but there is a line of research, and there's been documentaries about, people have always asked, because, you know, when the Titanic sunk,
Right.
there was a ship that was within, there was a ship that could have got to them on time to help get those passengers off, but they thought they were seeing something else. They thought they were seeing some other type of ship, and they didn't go. What was it? It was the California or something. But anyway, they said what might have caused their distortion in seeing the Titanic properly was a cold water mirage.
Yes.
It was like giving these warp thing, and it's so.
It was
what
the
they
SS
saw-
Californian.
The Californian, and it makes a pretty compelling case that a cold water mirage may also have contributed to why they didn't see the iceberg and things like that properly. So it's just something.
Also explains how reindeer can fly.
There you go. Okay, but just circling back, if you ever want to, that's
Yeah.
anyway.
Well,
but yeah.
you are exactly on it in the fact that light can behave like a fluid.
That's interesting.
Light can be
and it's
both.
temperature sensitive.
So, well, you're kind of catching on now as to, all right, this is just the base idea behind advanced technology.
Yep.
So,
yep.
solar energy is all about bringing in the power of the sun and making a conversion, because energy can neither be created nor destroyed. So what we're doing is we're altering it. So we can take the power of the sun, run it through a solar gathering device,
Convert it to
and it becomes electricity because of our technology. All right. So this is an emerging field, and this is all about thermodynamics, and this can be at a nano level.
Yeah, we're talking small.
We're talking small. So let's talk. All right. This is where I really miss some of the crazy stores at the mall. Because have you ever played with optical fibers?
Oh yeah, those are neat. Where it's got like it basically travels through this plastic, and then
Right.
at
Well,
the end it lights
that's
up.
how we have the internet these days.
Right.
We have fiber optics.
Yeah.
Well, it's basically glass turned into a wire that we send pulses of light down. Think Morse code, deet, 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 deet. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the basis of the internet.
So
Our modern internet is based on optical fibers.
So you're not necessarily sending electricity to a bulb and making that ignite, you could say, to give your light. You're sending actual light through a cable, through a fiber.
Right. So
or many fibers. So
if we can create natural differences, so a mirage exists,
yeah.
and I'm going to tell you what an engineer can do with it now.
You know, it's
When we come back.
interesting. This is playing right into our predictions about how the more technologically advanced we get, the more it looks like nature. So it's going to be cool. All right, well, stay tuned for this riveting conclusion when we come back here on Tool Talk Radio.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Well done. In fact, you did so well. I'm going to note this on your file in the commendation section. Oh, there's lots of room here. Did well. Enough.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
Whatever that was. And welcome back to Tool Talk. I don't know about you, Max. And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com and our pal Max over there behind the glass. And if you're just tuning in, boy, are we expanding the mind this morning. We're in the middle of a science discussion talking about a new technology that I'm hoping we're going to start. Maybe, I don't know, this could turn up in your big box store. You never know.
Probably
Optical
will.
thermodynamic light transfer. Basically, instead of having light bulbs and electrical wires, and then you turn it on and electricity travels and activates the light. Light may be it may be transferred through little cables, or little, I don't know, fibers and things like that. But I do have a question, Allan, about that, because when you're talking about this, to me it almost feels like, okay, somewhere in our house, if let's just suppose this became a thing, it seems like you would have a main source of light. Like I'm almost picturing this orb of light inside some closet somewhere or inside some case, and all of the wires and all of the fibers emanate from that. And
Sure.
I mean, what do you think? I'm just saying, I could almost see something like that in the future.
All right. Well, let's look at what we have done with sunlight.
Okay.
And the fact that it does strange things, and then we discover that stuff we do does strange things with light.
Okay.
Because the idea here is right now we force light to be where we want it. We force electricity through alternating current. We push the electrons to where we want them, and then we activate something to give us light.
Okay.
All right. 150 years ago, we'd have been sitting here by either some kind of tallow candle or whale lamp.
Right.
So lighting was very expensive. This is why your great-grandparents were always screaming, turn out the lights, you're going to make us go broke.
Right.
Because lighting was horrifyingly expensive, which is why businesses closed up as soon as they got dark and you went home.
Yeah.
And you got up with the chickens.
They worked around natural sunlight.
Well, you had no choice.
Yeah.
All right, so here we go. We come up with the idea of, I don't know, what's that stuff? Electricity. That was it. Yeah, we came up with electricity, and with electricity, we discovered that we could make things burn.
Because a
and
light bulb
produce
is
light.
technically burning, right?
Well, that's what that little tungsten thing is doing. Eventually, it's going to burn out.
Right.
So we discovered gases. We discovered lighting. And now let's fast forward to the creation of a circuit. So now we've got fuse boxes in our house, literally with a fuse. Later on, we came up with breakers. And somewhere in all of this, we came up with vacuum tubes.
Oh, yeah.
And now suddenly we have televisions. We have radios. We have crystal sets. Allan, what does that got to do with light? We're getting there. Because now we have a semiconductor. And what we did not know was every time you use a semiconductor, because we coated it really good, we painted it, we did not know a side effect of running power through a semiconductor were photons, a.k.a. light.
Right.
Now we have light-emitting diodes,
Okay.
LEDs.
Right.
Basically,
They
it's a
eliminated one of the
semiconductor
steps.
with no paint on it.
Right, right.
So now even a light bulb where things are burning is becoming obsolete.
Well, I was going to say, I think at some point that a light bulb will be obsolete, right? I mean, that might even happen in our lifetime.
Well, as a technicality, how we source the light is drastically changing.
Okay.
I did a huge job this week, we'll get into in a little bit, that was all about lighting.
Right.
And it was all about, because now we got LEDs. All right, so now we've covered all of this to dive into the fact that a mirage is caused by difference in temperature and how it affects light.
Okay.
What if we were to create nano entropy in a system and let light flow to wherever it wanted without forcing it to go there?
And it's doing it without burning anything. It's just
bingo.
It's just light.
We
It's not
are
going to start
we are
your house
just
on fire. It's not going to.
keep
You're
going.
not going to have to throw things out as often. You're not going to have a bunch of bulbs that are going to fill up a landfill and all that type of stuff. So,
Bingo.
Yeah.
So now
a
we're
lot like nature, Max.
We're into phrases like photon gases, and we're using things like Dalton's law of partial pressure. And that is because anytime you create a vacuum of any type and a surplus, nature wants them to be in equilibrium. So if we create a vacuum in the photon level here, by this theory, the light would naturally flow that direction without, again, being forced by our current systems.
I got something to throw at you, because most of us in the world, unless you live somewhere where it's dark 6 months of the year and you don't get any sun, but generally speaking, most of us, unless I guess Seattle is probably pretty overcast, but most places get a good amount of sunlight. So here's my question, because I'm picturing a future system where you have light that maybe you find a way to transfer sunlight through these fiber optic cables and just take sunlight and be able to use that in different areas of your home. And then when it's nighttime, you have a different source. But what about this, Alan? What about a light battery? What if you could store the light from the sun in some way? And so in the daytime, you're storing it, and you're also using the sun to light up your home, and then you're somehow storing that light.
Oh, you mean like the whole photon gas theory, but the fact that it works through a semiconductor?
Now we're talking, man. So here, and none of that involves any electricity, right? Or at least maybe minimally.
We're still talking about energy.
Okay.
But we are talking about energy currently at the thermodynamic level. We're talking more instead of micro voltage, micro temperatures.
Okay.
So is any of this brand new ideas? No. But this is, as technology is marching forward, as our knowledge of this basic idea of a photon advances, we're finding newer and better and more interesting ways of manipulating a photon.
With less waste, too. When you think about how many light bulbs wind up getting thrown out.
Exactly.
If you could eliminate that, just that part, I mean,
or
minimize it.
I'm going to go back in time and throw your people a bone here and go, so when we talk about the science of a photon, let's go back to your people, the Vikings, who sailed all over the place and knew exactly where they were, even though where they were from, the weather was terrible.
Yeah.
It was always overcast. There's always a storm. It's always, but you could
no
tell
wonder they were mad all the time. So, yeah.
I'd be mad too.
Yeah. They knew how to get where they were going.
But I'll tell you about the magic they did with light that got them there when we come back.
That sounds good. And we got a lot to get to. Hour one is in the can, but stay tuned, folks. It's going to be an action-packed hour of Tool Talk Radio when we come back.
News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis. Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com and our pal Max over there behind the glass. And Allan, I'm a little remiss, and I'm sorry to do this right at the top of the hour, but I haven't done this yet, and we only got 2 more weeks to discuss this. But I just want to remind everybody that we also, in addition to hosting Tool Talk Radio, run the Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention. It's only 2 weeks away, and we are partners with Cumulus here. So, I don't think they mind me putting a shout out here. But, folks, it's really fun. It is for one thing, we're back at the Memphis Hilton, which is our favorite venue of all time. It's going to be November 1st, and we're really playing up the whole Halloween weekend theme. So we're going to have trick-or-treating for the kids. We're having a Halloween after party hosted by the Memphis Zombies and Monster Energy Drink. But, Allan, this really, I think in fairness, it's fair to say that the Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention is one of the best entertainment values in town, period. Tickets are $25. We have family passes for four, a family of 4 for $55. It's really affordable. It's a lot of fun. It's a celebration of superheroes, science fiction, fantasy, anime, Lego, video gaming. It's just all geek stuff. And folks, I'm telling you, it is the best place to jumpstart your Christmas shopping because you can get one-of-a-kind items. You can get, there's artists of every variety there selling all sorts of cool stuff. And if you ever wanted to meet Allan Gilbreth, he's going to be there too. You're going to have a booth set up, right?
I am. We're going to have boy, are you going to be in for a surprise when you see what we have at the booth.
Oh, okay. So no spoiler. Okay. So
I'm
anyway.
not even going to tell you.
And also this year, it's pretty exciting. We've teamed up with the Orpheum Theater and Opera Memphis and the Quark Theater, and we are going to be having a full production. Your ticket includes seating. If you're interested in checking out, there's a one-woman operetta. It's called Through the Looking Screen, and it's a pretty interesting thing. It's about an hour or so long, and it's a basically opera about online dating and living through this, living on social media and stuff. It's a very modern story, but it's done in opera form. Very interesting, very well produced. It's a cool show. We have a lot of entertainment. It is just a fun event, and we really encourage you to come out. It's great, and tickets are super affordable. So if you go to 901TIX, TIX, you can get your tickets there and go to our website, memphiscfc.com, to learn more, and follow us on Facebook at the Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention. But we hope we'll see you there November 1st at the beautiful and spacious Memphis Hilton over here in East Memphis. So, all right, well, Allan, I'd be remiss if I didn't bring that up. But
No worries.
But we were talking before the break, and boy, we got to be efficient this hour. We got a lot to get to. We still haven't even got to your week in review. But this, whenever there's a new technology that almost seems like it's going back to, it's funny because what did you say? Nothing old is new, or not, everything new is old again, or whatever. So, but you talked about the Vikings before the break dealing with light transfer that piqued my interest before we.
Well, let's talk about double refraction.
Okay.
Your science question is thermodynamically controlling the flow of photons.
Right.
All right, that's basically what it is. And a photon is a light particle.
Yeah, you're just taking light and you're moving it somewhere.
So I mean, light is most easily created by, rapidly releasing energy, aka burning something. Translation, our sun is not an LED.
Right.
It's millions of degrees.
Yeah.
It's the sun, let's just say it's a little warm. But because it's on, atomic fire, we have life on this planet.
Right.
But because of the quirks of photons, I'm going to pick on the Vikings for a little bit, just to kind of give you how slick sometimes these little hacks can be. There is a mineral up in that area in Iceland it's a type of calcite that when you kind of clean it up, you can get it fairly transparent.
It's reminded me of our talk about marble a few months ago.
Well, here we go.
Translucent stone.
You got to love how all of these things come crashing together sometimes.
And okay.
So now, this is where it also was magic.
Well, because back then you would think it's magic. They don't know.
Well, several sci-fi authors have commonly said there's a point where magic and technology become indistinguishable from each other.
I think Thor said that in the first movie, too. Something like that.
Yeah, we can attribute it to a few scientists before, Hammer Boy got hold of it.
Mm-hmm.
So here you go. Now, how smart was this guy or woman you're looking at a clean piece of calcite, and let's say there's a mark on one side of it.
Yeah.
And, of course, it's a cute, clear rock. So you're holding it up to the sky to look through it, and you notice that because of the refractive properties of the calcite, it's making two versions of the dot on the bottom side of the rock.
Oh.
And as you turn the rock around, you notice that one's darker and one's lighter than the other, but the minute you kind of line the rock up on where the sun is, they're equal.
Because you're talking about somebody on the front of a boat that's holding a rock up to a clouded sky, and you don't know where the sun is.
And
you're
don't
trying
know
to
where
figure out how to navigate and everything.
Bingo.
So, yeah.
So
now all of a sudden I hear "Thus Spake Zarathustra" from 2001: A Space Odyssey.
But that's a good point because you mentioned, they could be sailing through the open waters with no stars, no sun to navigate to.
Right.
So how do you do it?
But now, through the use of a natural product, but by using a principle of double refraction, which apply, so we start there and just tumble forward because we're still talking about the manipulation of a photon.
When we're talking about this, it reminds me of the notion of trying to steer in the future away from fossil fuels, basically burning things for our transportation, burning gas, burning oils and things. And we are burning light bulbs. I mean, we're burning the...
Yes, we are.
And so the idea is to have less waste and just move light rather than creating light. Or
forcing
it. Right.
Forcing light takes energy.
This makes me think of the idea of Terminator Zero, that very first episode where Malcolm was talking to his son Kenta, and he was like, it's important to know how things work. And so if we make technology that's a little bit more reflective of nature, kind of like the stone and the crystal and everything, it kind of makes us have to think a little bit more, because I feel like
that's a good point, too.
We're losing the necessary knowledge, and it's almost kind of a hindrance rather than a good thing.
Yeah, we can't get to a society where nobody knows how to do anything.
Like
what if
Wall-E.
the electricity goes off? Then we're all out of luck. I mean, so. But anyway, that was a pretty deep dive. But light technology is a huge deal, and we may be on the cusp of another lighting revolution. So I think it's cool, man. So, but we do need to shift gears. So.
The humanity.
So we're going to find out what Allan did, although now that I'm thinking of it,
you know what I'm going to talk about?
Topic.
I'm going to talk about lighting.
Okay.
Basically, I got a client who had life. Family dramas, aging.
Life happened. Okay.
And her yard and everything just plain got away from her this year.
Oh, so she's dealing with all her stuff, and the yard is getting
going
no
to work, and then you got to go take care of Uncle Hubert, and then you got to come home, and you got to feed life just happened.
Right.
It wasn't like somebody was laying at home playing video games 24 hours a day. These are dynamic, active people. Just life happened.
Sure.
And I say that for everybody listening, guys. It just happens.
Okay.
Sometimes you get behind.
Yeah.
So we get called in, and she has a big family event coming next week.
No rush.
And no rush, no pressure, anything like that. And, the raised beds are terrible. Nothing is working. So time to go to the big box store. Time to go spend a few $100s on plants, some dirt, and lighting.
Don't neglect the lighting.
Oh, no. Because guess what? All of the weird lighting, I ripped out everything yesterday morning. It all came out. Everything.
Oh, so she had some outside lighting.
There was stuff everywhere. Nothing worked. Nothing came on. Nothing. Well, it has all been pulled out. It has all either been cleaned up and repaired and put back into service, or it has been replaced with solar.
Okay. And there's a lot of solar options.
There are, compared to 20 years ago when if you wanted the little solar thingies, you were burying wires and they lasted about 2 hours after it got dark.
Yeah.
And,
so you went for the upgrade, and the lighting was...
we went for serious upgrades. I'll tell you about it when we come back.
Okay, well, there you go. So Allan's Week in Review, I feel like he saved the day, and it wasn't horrific. Doesn't sound terrible. So, all right, well, we'll continue the adventure when we come back here on Tool Talk Radio.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Hey, Nelson, he's really hurt. I think he broke his leg. I said, ha!
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com and our pal Max over there behind the glass. And if you're just tuning in, Allan is in the middle of telling us about his week, what he did this week, and Allan's week in review. But before we jump back into that, Max, we have texts, and we've been we always put them at the front of the line. So what do we got, man?
Well, on brand. First, I'll start with the comments rather than the question.
Okay.
So we were talking about like those malls and everything, and Denise was saying she remembers places like that. Like there was a place called Spencer Gifts.
Oh, yeah.
Spencer Gifts. Okay. Wait, what were we saying about malls? I can't remember.
Well, the old fiber optic lamps and all that kind of cool stuff.
Things.
And you could get the lightning jar and, you know.
Yeah, very cool. Denise. I wonder if Denise hung out there as a teenager like all of us did back in the day. I don't know if it's the
you
hangout
had to
anymore.
play with a plasma ball. You know, if you didn't get the lightning to come to your fingertips.
There you go. All right, that sounds good. So,
and then we got Norman Rockwell. We were talking about lighting. He said most people don't realize a fluorescent tube actually emits a visible UV light. The ultraviolet stimulates the phosphorus coating, which is why it lights up.
yeah, is that good or bad?
That's very true. That's just how a fluorescent works.
Is that good though, or bad, or is that like residual, whatever?
It's just how it works. It's a fluorescent. So.
Okay, Norman Rockwell. I'd love to know where you land on fluorescent lighting because everybody I know hates it. Like all the women, they say it makes their skin look unflattering. Isn't that true?
Well, it depends on the coating, because most inexpensive fluorescent lighting produces a yellow-brown light.
Okay.
Which makes you look terrible. However, you can get a blue-white sunshine bulb that makes you look fabulous.
Okay.
And Denise said yes, they did hang out all the time when they were kids.
All right,
I'm sure. Yeah, I bet Denise had. Yeah. Okay, gotcha. I was just picturing Denise in the. I don't know what era we're talking about here, but with all of her classmates
Spencer's
hanging
was just
out,
a great place to go hang out. I don't know if I ever bought anything from them, but it was just a great place to go check stuff out.
Also, I don't know why. I suspect Norman Rockwell might be one of those guys that if you ever go to one of those trivia things at some bar, you want him at your table, right?
Oh, he and I could totally rack up.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, there you go.
And then we have Danny. He said, "Good morning, guys. Enjoyed your information on Cypress a couple weeks ago." And he said, check out this siding/window repair that he did using Cypress. He says it's his favorite clear, weather-resistant, easy-to-use wood, and didn't want to cut in new siding to repair damaged 90s paper siding, so used fiberglass/glass insulation mix to repair exposed area not covered by my header decorative trim. And then he said, by the way, old screwdrivers make excellent awls.
Yes,
He's
they
not
do.
wrong about that.
Yes,
and especially
do.
if you sharpen that edge. But I
Grind
like how
them
he
down.
called it
Yeah.
90s paper siding because it's not. I mean, it's basically
That was
pulpy,
terrible.
cut,
It's
press
awful
board and
stuff.
all that stuff. So, all right,
And then-
good text. I like that.
And then we got one more, and I'm glad to answer this one. It's Angel. She said, what is the oldest tool found in a dig? Because it's International Archaeology Day.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going to head fake a little bit because the real answer is kind of boring because it has to do with stone tools. It was at a place called Lomequi 3 for like a dig. But the more interesting answer I feel is ones that were from a little bit of a later time. It was called the Nippur cubit rod, and it was from 2650 BC.
A cubit rod. So it was basically like a
It was
yardstick, but it was
Yep.
a cubit long. Is a cubit roughly 18 inches? Because it's supposed to be the length of your forearm, right? Something like that, or it's
It varied throughout history, but yeah, it's more or less.
okay.
Yeah, so the oldest tools were kind of either rods or rulers, but one of the more interesting ones came around 200 to 100 BC. It was the Antikythera mechanism.
Mm-hmm.
And Allan, would you like to explain?
Antikythera. That's an interesting word.
Well, it is, it is the first case of steampunk ever in history.
Ooh, what are we talking
It
here?
had dials and wheels and things, but it was encrusted, and we're just now figuring out, thanks to X-rays, MRIs, and 3D printing, that it was a form of calculation device.
Okay, they found that underwater, right?
Yes.
Because I see all these
Shipwreck.
YouTube videos that pop up for me, and they're like An ancient Greek calculator or something
Yes.
like that, right?
Computer. They called it first analog computer.
And they show it underground with like stalactites and stuff on it.
Well,
like
it had a lot of what they call concretions.
Yeah.
Had filled it up. But again, with the modern miracle of X-rays and MRIs, we've looked inside of it enough that we can replicate enough of it to, more or less understand what it did. And it was a very advanced bit of engineering.
Okay.
Which is pretty neat. The Greeks were also pretty ahead too, because one of the oldest tools too was calipers.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Yep.
How to measure.
All right. Well, Allan, we better get back. We better wrap up, I guess, your week in review, because man, we still got a lot to get to. But
well, what I'm saying is, 20 years ago, your options were limited. Today, your options are off the hook
for lighting,
and you don't have to run wires. You don't have to hook this stuff up. And there is a certain big box store here in town carrying my favorite version of an LED activated tiki torch that looks like a flame and doubles as a bug zapper. And it's completely solar powered.
There we go.
Just looks unbearably cool. So you and I have promoted this for years. Walk around, look at it, scope it out, and light it.
Yeah.
And today, there's just no excuse. Lighting is unbelievably cheap compared to history. You can accomplish almost anything you want. So when my client's big event is next week, when it happens, the place looks magnificent.
I have to say, lighting is the decorative element. That is foundational. You can have all the cool stuff you want. You could have interesting architecture, but if it's not lit correctly, nobody will see it. And all the drama will be lost and everything. So it's funny, on a smaller scale, we put a lamp. I think I told you about that bookcase in our that inset bookcase we have in our living room that was sort of lost. We put a lamp over there. For one thing, the lamp looks cool. Now it's like one of the best things we've done in our house, and it was like $60. So just a strategically placed light source
lighting
is what it's
really
all about,
is everything.
Okay, now this is interesting because when we come back, we're going to get to our great moments in building history, which is actually revisiting something that we've seen before. Mostly, this is in honor of the Halloween season because we want something spooky. And when I asked for your suggestion, you reminded me that the Orpheum in Memphis is haunted, right?
It was allegedly haunted. That's correct.
The legend. So, and think of all the history that's taken place in that joint. So
far more than most people think.
Yeah. So that's going to be good. The Orpheum, it's just such a cool space too. And lighting plays a role in. Let's face it, that's theater. Lighting plays a huge role in that. So, hey, Allan, before we go to break real quick, I think it's important because there's probably people just tuning in that missed the earlier parts of our show, and they're really upset, and they're just very depressed. You got any news for them to help them feel better?
Oh, they don't have to worry about a thing. They can just pop over to tooltalkradio.com. And there is honestly years of podcast waiting for your listening pleasure. You can take us with you anywhere you want to go. We are featured on Spotify and YouTube. And I got to tell you, if you want to get work done and you don't want to feel like you're working alone in the garage, Joe and I are willing to sit there and keep you company and entertained for as long as you want.
Exactly. So bingeable content, so that's good. So don't worry, folks. If you missed any of today's show, just once it's posted, you can check the rest. You can check it out later. So, all right. Well, this is going to be good. So when we come back in our great moments in building history, we're going to talk about the haunted Orpheum Theater.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
And now for the finishing touch.
News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis.
And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com and our pal Max over there behind the glass. And it's been, it's been an enlightening episode of Tool Talk Radio. We talked a lot about light, future of lighting technology, and Allan had light play into his week in review. So, but lighting's a big deal, and sometimes it's front and center on the show. So, in a minute we're going to get to our great moments in building history. But Max, I think we have one more text. Is that right? So, who do we got?
It's not entirely relevant. It was just Norman Rockwell asking.
Sorry, Norman Rockwell, you're not entirely relevant. So, well, what is it? Well, we always acknowledge our text.
It said, "Hey Max, has the show always been 2 hours long?"
Okay, and I had to think about it, but Allan, technically, when we first started this,
The
we
Fix
were
It
an
Up
hour.
show was 1 hour.
Yeah.
The Tool Talk Radio has always been 2 hours.
And then they said, we need more of this. So.
Yep.
And then he said, "Cool, I just realized that 2 or 3 weeks ago." And he's like, "Guess I've been missing a bunch." And so, Allan, if he's been missing a bunch, where can he go?
There you go.
Just pop back over to tooltalkradio.com and follow along with all of our shenanigans for years and years and years.
Yeah, because we're getting close to the, 8-year mark or so of Tool Talk. Yeah, it's been going for a while.
You and I have been on the radio together for over 10 years.
Yeah.
So,
Fortunately, I've only been involved with you guys for 4 of the 10.
You haven't had to suffer the entire thing. So, all right. Well, that sounds good, Norman Rockwell. And I don't think you're irrelevant, regardless of what Max says. So, okay. But in a minute, we're going to get to our great moments in building history, though. But before we do, let's talk about our good buddy, Jay Hill, with Big M Roofing and Remodeling. So we love Jay Hill. Jay is they're a team of many talents, I should say, because they are all about he and his team are all about the exterior protection of your home. From roofing to gutters to siding to windows, and all interior and exterior remodeling except kitchens and bathrooms. He wants nothing to do with that. And honestly, when you look at all the tile choice, all the decorative choices, I kind of don't blame him. Just stick with what you know. Get in, get the job done, and move on to your next project. But when it comes to roofing especially, we always lean into his expertise because Jay is always 5 stars with the Better Business Bureau. He's a GAF Master Elite Installer, which there's certification involved in this. You have to know what you're doing because these are roofing systems that are being installed. This is comprehensive. This isn't just about keeping the water out. It's also making your roof last longer by making it energy efficient and also letting your roof breathe, basically. And what happens with things like the ridge cap vent technology is that everything's going to last longer, but it also lowers your utility bills. My house, ever since I got a Big M roof, has run cooler. And that saves you energy, especially in the summer. So, but also. Jay is one thing that sets Jay apart is he's got a wide-ranging background where, among other things, he was a former insurance agent, which is hugely helpful because if you have any problems with your home that may be the damage may be covered by your homeowner's insurance, Jay is a perfect advocate. He really should be the first person you call. If you think there's damage that may be covered, call Jay up. He's going to come out. It's going to be a free consultation. He's going to walk around and check out the damage with you. And if there is a path forward in making a claim, he can help you navigate that entire process. And that is a big deal. He's helped Allan and I with that for our roofs, and he can help you as well. So, and one thing about Jay too is that he keeps his overhead low, which translates to very competitive pricing for you. And when you call, you're going to talk to Jay directly. He loves talking to all of his customers. So give him a call. You can reach him at 901-484-5645 or go to bigmroofingandremodeling.com. All right, gentlemen, here we go.
And now, great moments in building history.
All right. Allan, I think we covered this under a different topic before, not so much the haunted aspect. But let's face it, it's a landmark here in the Mid-South, and it's worthy of a celebration. So,
but we covered the linchpin to this just a few weeks ago.
Yeah, because we've really been leaning heavy into Memphis structures, but what the heck, we want to celebrate.
Well, they're very important right now because the 1890s was a truly one of our favorite World's Fairs was in the 1890s. And this was a defining decade that made our modern world very much possible.
Think of the influence the 1890s had. That's where people like, Walt Disney's father was involved in this, in the in the the Chicago World's Fair. There was so much happening everywhere. There was all around the world too, not just here in America.
Well, how about the fact that the Frisco Bridge, hint, hint, the Frisco Bridge.
Which is funny to me that it's here in the Mid-South.
It's in the Mid-South, 1892. Also, something else weird was happening downtown, and that is electricity.
Okay, yeah.
Which was the birth of trolleys.
Right. There we go.
So, because we now have a train coming across the river, we now have a train station we just talked about. Right. We got a bridge we just talked about. Now we're going to throw in the trolleys, and we're going to go to vaudeville.
You know what's interesting about all this, Alan? Because we're talking about the Orpheum Theater, but people that are familiar with Memphis, I mean, if you've lived here, it's really interesting when you take that old bridge and you start mapping out and you start going down the trolley line of the businesses that sprang out of that.
You go down Main Street.
Yeah. Art galleries and restaurants, and then now entertainment. It's
this all started back in the 1890s because do you know what the word Orpheum actually means?
No. Do you, Max? You're the
Does that have to do
linguist.
with Orpheus?
Nope. It means musical house.
Oh, that's pretty. Is it Greek?
Yes.
Okay.
And because of that railway, because of a certain, some guy named Plow and a bunch of other investors, and we had a lot of Greeks moving into the area.
Oh, that's right.
Main Street and all of this was this melting pot of people all coming in. An investment group, I believe out of New York, decided that they were going to build the grandest opera house outside of New York in the country right here with that railway.
Think about that.
Everybody was going to come through here.
Right.
And they built the Grand Opera House, and vaudeville, all of the entertainers, were now on these train routes from New York to Chicago to Memphis to, so we're
pretty much in the middle
route, right?
Yeah.
And
hang on, I'm sorry, Alan. If you were in New York or Chicago, would you drop down to Memphis and then do your stuff and then head to, I don't know, head to California and head to...
Well, then you were heading to New Orleans or you were heading across to the west.
So you could go either way. So this really was a hub city.
We really were America's distribution point. Vaudeville got to be so big, and the music house, the Grand, they just started calling it the Orpheum.
Nice.
It just became its name.
It flows. It's a great...
It's the Orpheum.
Yeah.
So we did fantastic until about 1923 when the Grand burned down.
Oh, I keep forgetting that. That's right. There was a
the
big
Grand
fire.
burn down of absolutely devastating, absolutely heartbreaking, and Memphis was not going to have it.
Yeah.
And in 1927, Mr. George Rapp designed us a brand new building that would be the largest member of the Orpheum Vaudeville circuit ever built.
Now, that's interesting to me because the Orpheum, I want to say, seats like 2,200 people, something like that.
2,800.
Is it 28?
28. It was built to seat 2,800 people.
Does it seat that? Because I feel like I've looked into those numbers
It's
before.
been renovated a little bit. It's a little down from that now.
Maybe
but
maybe they extended the orchestra pit or something. But I guess what I was saying is, in my mind, because I grew up in Chicago, that sounds like an intimate setting. That doesn't sound like a... But then again, we're talking,
this is
100 years ago?
1927.
Yeah. So.
But this was going to be the most opulent member of the Orpheum circuit. And it is. And it was. And it's gorgeous.
Now, opulence, was that also designed with, like, acoustics in mind? Because I know nowadays, like, there's places like Royal Albert Hall that were designed to be more, as Joe would say, intimate. But let's just say acoustics weren't always the best at play. Like, they had those weird mushroom things on the ceiling now.
Oh, okay.
Well, because of the way it was designed not so much for perfect acoustics as it was noise transference. Translation, it's vaudeville. We're slapping things, throwing things, singing things, dancing. They wanted all of the sounds on the theater to project out forward.
Okay.
And that was an integral part of the design. It wasn't Carnegie Hall where you could whisper on the back hallway and be heard on the stage. But it was designed for whatever was going on the stage to reach you.
Like a megaphone.
Exactly. Well, that's kind of, when you look at the Orpheum and you think about like a megaphone, suddenly the shape of the theater makes perfect sense.
That's what I'm going to think about because I'm going to the Orpheum in a couple months to see a show.
Quick history of the Orpheum. We get from the 1930s to the 1940s. It's the Great Depression. It's vaudeville and entertainment is a big part of the country. We get to World War II. We come back from World War II. Vaudeville's kind of gone. And I'll tell you what happens next when we come back.
Oh, yeah. And there's some hauntings going on. Because, I mean, Allan, it is Halloween
there
season.
Is indeed. We'll get to her in a minute.
All right. Well, you're listening to Tool Talk Radio. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Floor feels a little gritty here.
Yeah, we ran out of floorboards there, so we painted the dirt. Pretty clever.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com and our pal Max over there behind the glass. And if you're just tuning in, we are in the middle of our Great Moments in Building History. In honor of the Halloween season, we're revisiting a location, the Orpheum here in Memphis, a landmark I dare say most Memphians have visited. And Allan, it's a cool structure. It's interesting to learn the history of why these places were built based on, our location in the country and the railroad line, and also the fact that this place may be haunted. But, okay, but also you were talking about the design of it. I never thought of it almost being like a megaphone shape to carry sound. Because back in the day for vaudeville, it's like, okay, they have horns and dogs and whatever other stuff. You just need the sound to carry up to those people in the top row, right?
You're trying to get that sound out there. So that's exactly correct.
Joe, that reminds me of when you said you were a kid and you went to the Pisa Cathedral.
Yeah, well, I never got to go in it because I was looking for my Cubs hat that got thrown off the roof. We don't want to stop, but yeah, you're right. But that place was different, Max, because that was about acoustical perfection. That's where, like Allan was saying, you could talk on one side of the cathedral and they could hear it. But this was just more, that was more fine-tuned, probably.
Right. This was
higher quality. This is just carrying sound.
This is for production value.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be singing on stage and I don't have a microphone, but you're going to be able to hear me.
Yeah.
I may not be able to hear you, but you can hear me. That is what this is all about. The Orpheum goes through a rough spot, and Malco Theaters buys it and runs it as a theater.
Okay.
That happens for a while, and then back in about 1976, it gets bought out and doesn't do a whole lot until about the 80s. And then suddenly a nonprofit organization gets their hands on it, a.k.a. the Orpheum people that we now know and love so much. And they decided we're going to turn it back into that opulent member of the Orpheum vaudeville circuit with all the bells and whistles and balconies. We're also going to renovate so modern productions can get their trucks in and out.
That's a good point. You can't have a modern production in a theater that's not renovated.
We used to be horse and buggy and carriages, and now, the world has grown up. They got to back the
semi-truck up. Yeah.
Now you got to have somebody to park that truck. So we now have the absolutely stunningly beautiful Orpheum. And ladies and gentlemen, if you're coming to visit Memphis, go to something there.
Yeah.
If you're from Memphis and you haven't been to something there, go. It is a snapshot of 1900, 1800s, and the 20s. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. It's designed to make you feel like you're an event.
Oh, yeah. It is. It's an event.
And I would say, Emma, just from my own personal experience, I've definitely had great deal of good times over there. I got to see Moulin Rouge and Hamilton.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Those were great.
Seen a lot of great shows
Now-
there. So, yep.
They are not the only one. We are not the only ones rumored to be visiting the Orpheum.
There we go. Here we go. Yep.
Rumor has it, and this is, of course, welcome to every good ghost story, of a young girl named Mary was crossing the road and was tragically struck down on her way to a show at the Orpheum.
Oh, wait, by a trolley or something?
She was involved in some kind of vehicular mishap.
Okay, yeah.
In front of the Orpheum on the way in to the Orpheum. So she went ahead and went to the show anyway.
That's
and is
the rumor.
still there.
Okay.
And is still there. And her pigtails have been cited now and again over the Orpheum's history for the last 95 years. So Mary the Ghost is the most popular ghost. However, it is rumored that there are specters from as far back as the Grand.
Oh, before it burned down.
And
because,
there is one who is allegedly lives in the air ducts and can periodically be seen waving to the audience during theaters, during events from way up in. He doesn't come out very often.
So
but
they're not malevolent spirits. So.
No, these are all apparently either people connected to the theater or people in love with the theater.
I was gonna say, is Mary a good critic of the theater whenever she sees plays, or is she like those people from the Muppets that are constantly heckling?
Apparently,
Those two guys.
Apparently, she gets a little tiffy if somebody sits in her balcony seat.
Well, didn't they? You said they reserve a seat.
And she will.
Was this the actual seat she had a ticket for, or are they estimating?
Well, they estimate because she has appeared several times, theoretically, over the years, of if somebody was sitting there, they would feel somebody tapping on their shoulder, like, you're in my seat. And it was this one particular seat. So they reserve Mary's seat now.
That's pretty cool.
But there's somewhere between 5 and 7 ghosts rumored to wander the Orpheum periodically.
Okay, but they're not like Peeves the poltergeist from Harry Potter. They're not unscrewing chandeliers. They're not,
they're waving
kicking
at
somebody's
you.
tuba.
They're waving at you from the air duct. Come on.
All right, good, clean
So
fun.
they're here to watch the theater too. They're here to enjoy it. So
yeah, because if they misbehave, they're going to get driven out, and then they don't get to enjoy free theater. So
well, exactly. I mean, think about it. If you had to haunt someplace, I mean, let's just be kind of silly. If you really had to haunt someplace, this is the kind of place you need to haunt.
Yeah.
I joked with one of my friends before. I was like, yeah, if I ever become a ghost, I'd love to just like hang out at the Globe Theater or Royal Albert Hall and catch a show.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, would you rather haunt this or like the sewage treatment facility?
No, man. I'd much rather be down there with Cats and Les Mis
There you go.
Hamilton and, just living your best afterlife.
There you go. Yeah. But so Mary was the first, I guess.
Well, she is the most prominent member of the, we'll say, aftermarket for the Orpheum. But, she is, and she's been cited numerous times to the point that there are now ghost tours that periodically go to the Orpheum.
I didn't know
to kind of
that.
say hello and check it out.
Did they take you up and say, okay, well, here's the
I've
seat
never
she
been
was
on
supposed-
one, so I couldn't tell you, but I do know that they're on the circuit of you can go visit a cool paranormal place.
You know what else about the Orpheum? Because all of us have experiences. As a matter of fact, the Orpheum is going to be at the Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention. They're going to have a promotion booth, and they're generously donating a couple of tickets to one of their Broadway shows for our cosplay contest prize. But, one thing about the Orpheum, too, when you talk to any of the staff there, they're like, even if you're just there talking to the usher, have you ever noticed how enthusiastic they are to tell you about the Orpheum? Like, if I were you, go see an Orpheum show and get there about get there as early as you can and just walk around and ask people questions. They're happy to. They're proud of it, man. It's a cool facility.
One of the best shows I ever, two best shows I ever saw at the Orpheum were two of the goofiest.
Yeah.
I saw Neil deGrasse Tyson give a talk. Not a science
Not
talk.
a concert. Yeah.
Not a science talk either. He was just talking about goofy stuff that happens to him because he's Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Right.
And you and I went and saw Mystery Science 3000.
Oh, yeah.
Of
Yeah.
all
Joel
things
Hodgson. Yeah.
at the Orpheum.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's cool. And I mean, so it's a wide, and that's that's kind of like a stage performance / video perform. You know, I mean, there's a lot of things happening, and that's what's cool about the Orpheum. You really know, you can't pigeonhole it. There's any kind of experience. And then sometimes they'll just show Casablanca or some old classic movie there.
Hey, during COVID, they had a putt-putt.
Right. They're always thinking dynamically. I do. I love the people over at the Orpheum. I love the way they think, and it's an institution to be really proud of here in the Mid-South.
Absolutely.
So.
And you get to, might see a cute little girl running down the aisle.
There you go. So, all right. Well, another segment, another episode of Tool Talk Radio that was all over the map, but it's over, guys. We got to get out of here. So on behalf of my buddy Allan Gilbreth and our pal Max over there behind the glass, I'm Joe Thorderson. Thanks for listening to Tool Talk Radio, and we'll see you next week.